challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action.
Senate again amends Electoral Act, harmonizes with House version to include consensus candidate.
We cannot afford anymore to allow this smuggling business to continue.
And Senate President parleys with paramilitary agencies on how to end petrol smuggling to enable Nigerians benefit more from subsidy. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Senate. The Senate, for the second time, re-amended the Electoral Act by harmonizing with the House version. It also considered and passed for second reading several anti-corruption related bills. We have reports on these alongside others, particularly relating to fuel subsidy, over which the Senate President with the Minister of Finance, amongst other stakeholders in the oil industry, held a discussion. The Senate President also met with paramilitary agencies that manage the nation's borders on how to end smuggling of petrol and other products out of Nigeria. These and more after this short break. I am Hussaina Amina Aboki. Don't go away.
The Senate to send a message to the President
to reap opportunities from that.
To raise a matter of urgent public importance. And we are aware that when this particular motion comes up for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Thanks for being with us. Recall Senate's amendment of the Electoral Act No. 6, 2010, Amendment Bill 2021, on Wednesday, the 19th of January 2022, to earn presidential assent, which was earlier withheld due to the inclusion of direct primaries. The amendment therefore provided for more options for party primaries. In spite of this, however, the need once again arose to re-amend it on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022, under the title, Rescission on Clause 84 of the Electoral Act No. 6, 2010, Amendment Bill 2022, following which the Senate leader sponsored a motion in this regard.
There are some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action by both chambers of the National Assembly emerged on the clause.
This fundamental issue was on the options of direct, indirect and consensus candidature provided for parties in electing candidates for primary elections in the Senate's version of the bill, and the House version which provided for only direct and indirect system, leaving out consensus candidature. It was observed that the absence of consensus in the House version may cause another hitch. As a result, consultations between the leadership of the two chambers were held, and it was agreed that Section 84 of the bill be re-amended to include consensus so as to bring the two chambers on the same page. Accordingly, the decision on the earlier bill was rescinded as passed and recommitted to the Committee of the Whole, where the clause was reconsidered and passed again. The Senate President Ahmad Lawan commented on the passage.
What we have done is to give very clear and sufficient definition to each mode of primaries. And for the consensus, the two chambers have produced in this bill now very clear definition of how a consensus candidate would emerge. And we are also very optimistic that Mr. President will sign the bill.
Let's take a break to open the Senate notebook. Don't go away.
votes and proceedings are records of Senate's plenary of a given day, prepared to provide accurate information about the plenary of that day as well as the decisions taken and prayers adopted. The votes and proceedings having been prepared are read out by the presiding officer the following day for legislators to make observations for possible corrections where mistakes are made or adopted where there are no errors. With this done, they can now be transmitted for public consumption.
The only way out of the pandemic is for the population to observe the recommended measures advised by the NCDC, the Senate Committees on Health and Primary Health Care and Communicable Diseases will continue to engage with the Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19.
Welcome back. Several bills that include one seeking the establishment of a polytechnic in Ogun State as well as anti-corruption were presented for second reading. We have the report alongside others as compiled and presented from our studio.
I move that the debate for
The first bill seeks the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic, Shagamu, Ogun State. It was sponsored by Senator Lekan Mustapha.
The objects of the Polytechnic shall be to provide full-time or part-time courses of instruction and training, in technology, applied science, commerce, and management, and in such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of Nigeria in the area of industrial and agricultural production and distribution, and for the research in the development and adaptation of techniques as the Council may from time to time determine.
There is no gainsaying that this bill, when passed, will make a great impact in preparing our youths for the digital economy that we are in, and also make them to be able to have all the necessary requirements to be gainfully employed.
The bill scaled second reading and was referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund to report back in 4 weeks.
This bill was listed among the bills of interest and international...
For the anti-corruption bills, one of them was a bill for the establishment of a legal and institutional framework to protect witnesses and related persons with responsibilities for carrying out all administrative duties relating to witnesses in disclosures made for public interest 2022. It was sponsored by Senator Suleiman Abdul Kwari, who disclosed that the bill is listed amongst those of interest and international significance contained in a letter from President Buhari on Wednesday, the 19th of January 2022.
One of the major causes of the inability of successfully prosecute successfully criminal cases in our courts is the lack of witnesses. Many of them face intimidation and threats, just as prosecutors most times do not have the funds and management framework to safely bring witnesses to testify in court. The passage of this bill into law will fill this gap, as well as fulfill some of the country's international commitments to various conventions and protocols, like the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, amongst others.
The bill was supported in the debate that followed.
I'm particularly delighted, Mr. President, that there is a provision in Part 6 which criminalizes certain acts relating to false and misleading unlawful disclosures, false representation, and unauthorized access to a witness. This will be in conformity with international requirements, and it will further place our country as a country where there is transparency and war against corrupt practices.
This bill was passed in its assembly. I'm of the opinion that the executive should assent to bills passed by the National Assembly. If they have issues, they come for amendment. I support that this will be read and committed to the committee for proper legislative duties.
After second reading, the bill was referred to the Committee on Judiciary Anti-Corruption to report back in 4 weeks.
1 and 3, colleagues, public interest disclosure.
The following day, Wednesday, the 26th of January 2022, saw Senator Suleiman Abdul Kwari once again sponsoring a bill for an act to to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act and enact the Public Interest Disclosure and Complaints Commission to provide a framework for making disclosure and of disclosure 2022.
It seeks to expand the existing provisions of the Public Complaints Commission Act 1975 to enable it accommodate public interest disclosure. Therefore, this bill, when passed into law, will repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act 1975 and reenact the Public Interest Disclosure and Complaints Commission Act of 2020. I hereby seek your support in the passage of this bill into law, as I firmly believe that this is the right thing to do for this great nation.
One of the most interesting parts of this bill is the fact that we are going to expand, repeal and expand the Public Complaint Commission Act of 1975 to accommodate the public interest disclosure. So we don't necessarily have to come up with a new commission, but to expand an existing commission and make it more focused in the war against anti-corruption. And I think with this, I will appeal to all my colleagues to support this bill, as it's very critical in an anti-corruption war.
I want to also appreciate the hard work of the sponsor of this bill, and the concise way in which he has written the lead debate, straight to the point. That makes our job very easy.
Related to this was another bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities 2022.
This bill is time sensitive, and when passed, will enable us to recover lots of assets overseas. The main objective of this bill is to provide for the establishment of a department in the relevant organizations to manage forfeited assets, as well as provide for an effective legal and institutional framework for the recovery and management of proceeds of crime, as well as civil forfeitures in non-conviction based sentencing.
In supporting the passage of the bill, senators made some observations.
Between the two words, confiscation and seizure, which one is wider in scope? You confiscate first, then you seize. Then you approach the court to get an order for forfeiture. So even in the arrangement here, we need to rearrange and say confiscation, seizure, and forfeiture.
The critical caution I thought we should be making here is the issue of fair hearing in our Constitution that talks about that person who is presumed innocent. Because by the time you decide to say somebody has done something unlawful or illegal, where you have not been able to prove that, and you are already taking the steps that a law court ordinarily in our present jurisprudence should be taking, I think it's like putting the cart before the horse.
In this Senate, we have passed so many anti-corruption laws to fight corruption. Are we amending sections of this law or creating entirely a new commission? This provision is silent on that.
After debates, the bills were read second time and referred to the committees on anti-corruption as well as ethics and privileges to report back in 4 weeks.
Mr. President.
Also, several bills scaled third reading and passed on the same day. They included Nigerian Meteorological Agency Act 2003, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022, sponsored by Senator Smart Adeyemi, as well as National Health Emergency Bill 2022, sponsored by Senator Chukwuka Otazi.
We will move on now to the committee room, where the Senate President Ahmed Lawan expressed concern over the abuse of subsidy and vowed that the legislature, in collaboration with the executive, would address it. The report is presented from our studio.
An interactive session on this was held between the Senate and the nation's stakeholders in the petroleum industry sector, amongst who were the Minister of Finance Hajia Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, as well as the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mr. Mele Kyari. This was on Monday, the 24th of January 2022. The Senate President led the discussions.
We all believe in this, and Mr. President leads us in this feeling. We are all agreed that the subsidy is abused, and therefore it is a challenge to us as an administration to deal with the abuse, to find appropriate means of stopping the abuse.
On the subsidy itself, Senate President assured that there is no plan on its removal.
About NLC. NLC, how many people are in the NLC or TUC? We are talking about every Nigerian and stand beyond the NLC. And I'm taking this opportunity to appeal to TUC and NLC to shelve this plan to go on strike or demonstration. Is totally unnecessary. There is not going to be removal of subsidy. So there is no need for this.
He added, however, that there is the need to fight smuggling of the product to a standstill because foreigners enjoyed it more than Nigerian citizens in whose favor the subsidy is meant.
Let me start by stating the fact that we did...
In her submission, the Minister of Finance, Hajia Zainab Shamsuna Ahmad, confirmed that the 2022 budget provides for subsidy from January to June only, suggesting that it will be removed after June. She attributed this to the provision of the Petroleum Industry Act, which provides for the regulation of petroleum products as from July 2022. However, due to the negative impact of the removal, the government resolved to seek an amendment that will provide for the subsidy beyond June 2022.
And also, while we're exploring ways and means through discussions with various stakeholders in the executive, but as well as in the civil society and the labor unions to explore ways and means by which we can address this removal in a manner that is graduated and that will have as minimal impact on the citizens as possible. So we will come back to make further amendments.
The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, agreed with his finance counterpart, saying the time is unripe for the present administration to remove subsidy.
It is clear to the blind and audible to the deaf that it is not possible at this time for us to remove the subsidy.
Also speaking, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mr. Mele Kyari, concurred with the position of the federal government on the matter.
Every requirement of petroleum motor spirit in this country, if nobody else does, it is our responsibility to do by law. Also, it is also at a cost to the Federation. So we are happy to fill this gap, distinguished Senate President. We'll take it as the requirement of the law that the government is asking us to fill that gap, and we'll do that. Thank you very much, sir.
And worried by the fact that much of the subsidized imported petroleum products meant for Nigerians are actually smuggled out of the country, the Senate President on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022, met with some heads of the nation's agencies saddled with the management of the nation's borders, particularly the Customs, Immigration, Civil Defense and DSS. It was to know their challenges and fashion out ways of tackling them with a view to ending the menace.
Today's meeting particularly is with security.
Kickstarting the meeting, Senate President Ahmed Lawan alerted that smuggling is depriving Nigerians the benefit of subsidy and making it more in favor of citizens of other countries as well as the smugglers.
Our situation is such that we cannot afford anymore to allow this smuggling business to continue, because the cost is very huge and debilitating to our people. We need to look at the strategies, maybe how we undertake our activities at the borders.
In their various submissions, Heads of the agencies blame smuggling on lack of government presence at the borders, thereby exposing them to the risk of becoming subservient to smugglers, amongst other things.
Within our border communities, there's no presence of governance. The ordinary man in Seme border do not see the reason why he should be compliant. Do not see reason why he should work with the authorities in Nigeria to protect the influx of either smuggling out or smuggling in of items. Some areas, Mr. President, these border communities cross to other countries to get basic amenities. And therefore it is difficult to get them to agree to this. And then they become subservient to these smugglers.
Any of our border you go to, the moment you go with your handset, it will first of all welcome to MTN Benin Republic, welcome to MTN Republic of Niger. It is so sad that most of the time we cannot even share classified information.
From our uncle, we have been doing our best, and we have actually introduced some new strategies in trying to curtail this smuggling.
Sometimes, after the introduction of our joint border patrol team, there was 20-kilometer radius at border communities that any filling station outside that petrol is not allowed to sell petroleum products. Later, there was some growing complaints by the communities, so anything deemed fit to consider waiver. The waiver that was considered, some filling stations were allowed to sell products beyond 20-kilometer radius. However, it turned out to be abused. It became conduct fine for smuggling activities.
With this, the rest of the meeting was held behind closed doors, where confidential decisions were taken due to security exigencies.
Our profile segment is next. Stand by for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Nicholas Tofo-Omo was born on the 4th of March 1960. He attended St. David's Primary School, Akure, for his first school leaving certificate and Aquina Secondary School, also in Akure, for his West African School certificate in 1977. He worked briefly at the High Court in Akure before proceeding to Rivers State School of Basic Studies, Port Harcourt, and University of Ife for a Bachelor of Science degree in Geography in 1983. After national service in Lagos, he left for University of Bradford in West Yorkshire, England, and undertook various courses, thereby earning the following qualifications: postgraduate diploma in highway engineering, a degree in law, and Master of Science degree in transportation and development. After school, Senator Tofo-Omo took up appointment as housing officer with the London Bureau of Lambert, serving for 5 years, and housing manager with the Pseudo Council as housing manager, also serving for 10 years. He was a two-term Commissioner of Transport in Ondo State, serving from 2011 to 2013 and from 2013 to 2017 under Governor Olusegun Mimiko of Ondo State. During that time, he initiated a lot of reformation in the transport sector of that state. Senator Tofo-Omo's interest in politics was ignited when he first met the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo during one of his visits to Chief Ebenezer Babatokpe when they were both at the University of Bradford. He contested for a seat in the Senate under PDP in the 2019 general elections to represent Ondo South Senatorial District and won. In the Senate, Senator Tofo-Omo is the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Transportation, and a member of several other committees. His legislative interests include total reformation of Nigeria's transport section, attention to widows, the elderly, youth, as well as other vulnerable Nigerians, and education.
With this, we end this week's edition of Inside the Senate. Do follow us on any of our social media platforms showing on your screen, And don't forget to send in questions and comments for your elected representative in the Senate. Thanks for watching and bye for now.